continuing in Likutei Moharan Tinyana, Torah Aleph. We just started Siman Dal. We're going to start again from Siman Dal. Ulahakir is some of Solomon, Ezel Ede Azus Ve Hu Ede Bin Yerushalayim. He said that when you have to connect yourself to all of Klal Yisrael in order to be able to stand in the rule of Malachim, and the way to do this is by connecting yourself to all the Mufursamim, all the famous people. However, you don't know which famous person is a real tzaddik and which famous person isn't. So you have to have Binyan Yerushalayim. We said, we're going to say Binyan Yerushalayim is going to bring a person Yira. We're going to see Binyan Yerushalayim is a Bechina of Yira. When a person has Binyan Yerushalayim, when a person has Yiras Hashem, then Mamela will be able to automatically be able to recognize which Mefursam is a real Mefursam. Mefursam Mishal Emes, one is appropriate to be Mefursam, and which one is only through Azus, which we said is not good, only through brazenness. Through building Yerushalayim, a person can recognize which Mefursam is real and which Mefursam is not real. Shu Bechinas Halev, Bin Yerushalayim is Bechina of Lev, is Bechina of the heart. Ki Yerushalayim Bechinas Yerushalayim, because Yerushalayim is Bechina of Yerushalayim, of perfected fear. Yerushalayim is a combination of these two words, Yira and Shalom. Hainu Shleim L'Sayira Tali B'Lev, meaning that Yerushalayim is an union of perfected Yira that's dependent on the heart. Yira is dependent on the heart. As the rabbi said, Dovar Mosalev Namar Bo V'Yiresa. As the rabbi said that something that's dependent on the heart, the pasuk says about it, V'Yiresa. I'm pretty sure that Gemara is talking about standing up for an old person, and the Gemara says that it could be that you'll look down and you'll pretend like you didn't see the old person, and therefore you won't stand up for him. So therefore it says, but V'Yiresa, meaning you should fear Hashem, and you should know that Hashem is watching you, and that you can't just hide away by pretending that you didn't see. If you saw the old person walk by or come close to you, so then you have to stand up. So since it's something that's Masr Le'lev, since it's given over to the heart, it's not something that's obvious to see, for everyone to see that whether you saw or didn't see this old person walk by. So then the pasuk says V'Yiresa, and in a number of places the pasuk says V'Yiresa Elokecha, when it's referring to something that the Gemara is saying here is Davar Masr Le'lev, something that's in your heart. Because there are other mitzvahs that are also dependent specifically on your heart. However, there are three midos, three bad character traits that destroy Yerushalayim. Dahinu alev, meaning they destroy the heart, which is it doesn't destroy Yerushalayim, it destroys the person's heart on a personal level, and it destroys the Yira Shabbaleh, Talib, destroys the fear that's dependent on the heart. So now here we see one thing is important to understand when the Rebbe teaches in Likutei Moharan is 100% clear on every level. Meaning that when the Rebbe brings in a mashal of Yerushalayim and Binyan Yerushalayim and Yira Shalom, that the Rebbe means to actually speak about Yerushalayim also. That when he says that Binyan Yerushalayim is building your heart, so we see the two things are literally interconnected. And we see here that the destruction of Yerushalayim is dependent also on the heart, or the destruction of Yerushalayim, which is the fear of the heart, is dependent on these three midas, which we're about to mention. We can understand that the destruction of the actual Beis HaMikdash, the actual Yerushalayim, is really dependent on these three midas. Not just the Rebbe is not just using this as a mashal. So when Klal Yisrael had these three midos, Rahman al-Tzan, if we did have them, then that was the cause for the destruction of Yerushalayim. And when we have Yerushalayim, that is the cause for Binyan Yerushalayim. Even though the Rebbe is using it, what would seem to be a mashal here, would seem to be something that doesn't really fit in perfectly. He needs to be telling us a parallel inyan, that the inyan of Binyan and Churban Yerushalayim is literally parallel and connected to, totally connected to the aspect of building and destruction of these three midas that we're going to speak about, or Yerushalayim, which is proper year, which we spoke about. So having proper year will build Yerushalayim. If all of Klal Yisrael has proper year, then Yerushalayim will certainly be built. And if all of Klal Yisrael didn't have proper Yerushalayim, then that would be a reason for the destruction of Yerushalayim. And this is something which goes as fact, like it goes for sure. If we all have Yerushalayim, we all have proper year, then automatically, for sure, it must be that Yerushalayim will be built. Okay, so these three midos, Vashalosh midos hem, these three midos are Taivas Mammon, Taivas Achila, Taivas Mishkal. Taivas Mammon, desire for money, desire for eating, and desire for relations with women. Ki shalosh midos elu hem belev, because these three midos are in the heart. Valkenim of Sigma Yersha believe. Since these three midos are in the heart, that's where they're found. As we're going to explain, we're going to give proofs for these three midos being in the heart. So, therefore, they destroy the yira, which is also supposed to be in the heart. Because we can't have two things at the same time. Either you have fear of Hashem in your heart, or you have desire for taivos in your heart. So now we're going to explain how all the three midos are actually, we find that they're connected to the heart. We find in Sukkah how they're related to the heart. Mammon, Mammon is rooted in the heart, as it says, Birkas Hashem Hitashi. The bracha of Hashem will make a person rich. V'lo yosef etzev imam, and there will be no more sadness with it. V'bechinas v'yisatzev elibo, and sadness is connected directly to the heart. As it says, v'yisatzev elibo, that Hashem was sad in his heart when he saw the Dor Mabel was doing a virus, so he was sad in his heart. So here, Hashem is the pasuk is connecting, Mishlei, is connecting Birkas Hashem Hitashiv Lo Sosif Etzev Ima, that the bracha of Hashem will make a person rich, and he will no longer be sad, and sadness is connected directly to the heart. So we see a direct connection from richness, or poorness, to richness, to the heart. So the taiva for Mammon is also, we see, is in the heart. Achila b'bechinas v'lechem levav enosh yisad, and achila is also in the heart because it says, the pasuk says, v'lechem levav enosh yisad, that the bread will satisfy a man's heart. So we see specifically here a connection between a person's heart and the bread and food. Taivas mishkal gam ken b'lev, and also Taivas mishkal is in the lev. Ki ikra taiva yedei chamimus haba midam shebachal b'lev. Now, desire for relations is also in the heart, because the main taiva, the main desire for relations is from heat and passion, which is in a person's body, which also comes from the heart. Since they're in the heart, like we said before, since these three midas rest in the heart, and when a person brings upon himself a desire for eating, or he feels a desire for eating, a desire for money, or a desire for women, so automatically it must push away the fear that he has in his heart. And the two things cannot rest in the same place. So it destroys the year which is in his heart, and therefore automatically it destroys the binyan Yerushalayim, a particular person's personal binyan Yerushalayim, which is Yerushalayim, and obviously it holds back the ultimate binyan Yerushalayim of Yerushalayim and the Beis Hamikdash. So now the Rebbe is going to show how this relates directly to the Gemara that says that there are three. The Gemara Baruch says there are three watches, three divisions of the night. Laila is a bechinas choshech. Laila is a bechina of choshech. Hainu menius. Vehem bechinas shalosh mishmos. Hainu bechinas shalosh midos. Now, night is bechina of choshech. Night is bechina of darkness. Hainu menius. which means things, impediments, things that hold a person back. Particularly here, things that would hold a person back from Avodas Hashem, which are these three midas. And these are the bechina of the three mishmas, three different aspects or parts of the night. And midas, which we're going to relate directly to the three midas that we mentioned above. Now, the first mishma is when the donkey brays, the donkey makes its noise. And this is a bechina of Tavis Mammon. Bechina Yisachar Chomer Garam, which is a bechina of Yisachar Chomer Garam. Here it says that Yisachar is like a donkey, comparing Yisachar to a donkey in the pasuk. And we said that the first watch of the night, the first third of the night, is when the donkey brays. The donkey makes its noise. We're talking about Asim v'Nichsim. And there, when I was giving the brachas to the Shvatim, so there the Onkelos translates that he would be very rich. It says by Yisachar, when he was compared to a donkey, I think Gar means a laden donkey. I'm not exactly sure. I think it means that he's filled with things on his back. And the Aramaic the Onkelos translates this to mean that the bracha is that he's going to be very rich. So he received that a bracha, that a donkey is connected to riches, connected to money. So here we see that this watch of the night is referring to the bad midah, the aspect of the darkness of riches, which is the bad midah of riches. Shnia, the second aspect of the night, which is the second bad midah, is klavim tzalkim, when dogs bark. V'zeh b'chinas tavis achila. This is the bechina of Tavis Achila. K'mo shekasuv haklavim azei nefesh l'yedusah. This dogs barking, or dogs specifically, is referring to Tavis Achila. It says v'klavim azei nefesh l'yedusah. The dogs were brazen, had a brazen nefesh, a brazen soul, and they did not know they did not recognize, they did not ever experience satisfaction. They did not experience being satisfied. When a person eats and he's satisfied, or when he doesn't eat and he's satisfied, so he doesn't have Tavis Achila. When a person feels this taiva, this desire for food, so there's this is Tavis Achila. We're going to see more about these three midas also later. We're going to see that Tavis Achila is is a certain type of desire, or a certain type of feeling, which is probably this uncomfortable feeling that a person gets when he's afraid that he doesn't have food, and that brings upon his desire to have more food to eat, because maybe later he's going to be hungry. That we're going to see more about it later. Here it just says that the dogs aren't ever satisfied, which is an aspect of Tavis Achila. So this is the second aspect of the night, the second part of the watch of the night. The sign for the watch of the night is dogs barking. So this first watch of the night, the sign for the first watch of the night is when the donkey brays, and the second one is when the dogs bark. The first one represents the bad aspect, the darkness of Tavis Mammon. The second aspect the second part of the night represents the darkness of Tavis Achila. And the third watch of the night, a person can recognize through when a baby is nursing from his mother, and when a woman is speaking to her husband. These are all the Gemara, I'm pretty sure, is speaking about how a person can recognize these three watches, and is giving signs, physical signs, for a person to know when these three watches are taking place. When you could know that the first third of the night is finished and the second third of the night has started. You could know that when the dogs start barking and the donkeys apparently stop braying. And from the second part of the night to the third part of the night, you could know from when the dog stops barking and the baby starts nursing from his mother and a woman starts talking to her husband. Now this is Zebachin Mishkal. This is the inyan of Mishkal, of relations. The rabbi said, Roman the Bears. The rabbi spoke about in Gemara Ksubos, said that if a person sees that a woman was speaking to a man in the shuk, I think in the shuk, I think they're speaking about the shuk, if a person sees that a man is speaking to a woman, so that you could ask, and she's, maybe she had related, the Gemara doesn't know exactly what this is referring to, and there's two opinions. One opinion is that they had relations, that he was asking, that you saw that they had relations. Another opinion is that they saw that they were secluded. So the Rebbe here is using this opinion that Ro Medabers is referring to a person seeing, or people seeing a girl or a woman being actually having relations, and that's Medabers here. What the Medabers in the Gemara was used as a term for relations. So we see there's a fundamental connection to this type of to speaking and relations. It's almost like a term or a euphemism for relations. And this is also, we could see, so the Gemara says there are two signs for this watch, for the third watch of the night. There are apparently two signs. One is that a woman is speaking to her husband, and the Rebbe is bringing here that it doesn't necessarily mean that she's talking to her husband. It means that they're having relations, because midaberes, we see in the Gemara, is in other places also used for referring to relations. And also the other sign is tinok yonak mishteimo, that a baby is nursing from his mother. So now we're going to see also how that is referring to, is connected to relations and the taiva for relations. This desire, the desire for women, is dependent on nursing. Meaning, if a baby nurses from a woman who's a chatzufa, who's a brazen woman, a chutzpah woman that doesn't have proper respect, then this taiva for women will actually be strong in the baby itself. Since the baby nursed from this woman, the milk causes this taiva to come into the baby. Because the Gemara says that blood turns into milk. The blood gets thicker and turns into milk. And therefore, when there's a woman chatzufa, when the woman has chutzpah, then this damages the baby who is now nursing from this milk, which was created from the blood that was congealed, so to speak, or hardened, that turned into milk. Again, the Gemara says that the milk is made from the blood of a woman. That's where the milk is made. That's how the milk is created. The body takes the blood and does certain processes to it and turns it into milk. So since the baby now is drinking this milk, and this milk is coming from the blood of the woman, and the blood of the woman is not so pure because she's an isha chatzufa, she has a lot of disrespect, and this affects her blood. So this baby is now taking this into his body, and it's affecting the baby. And how does it affect the baby? It affects him by giving him a lot of chaminus. Gives him a lot of heat and passion inside of his heart for this taiva, for this desire for women. Shuis Gavras Taivazu, which is the overpowerment of this taiva. This taiva will be very strong inside of a baby or a child or a person who nursed from a woman who had a lot of brazenness. And similarly the opposite is true. When a baby nurses from a woman who's kosher, a good woman, who's not a chatzufa, then a person's heart will be hollow inside of him. It'll be empty. It won't be full of passion and fire. And we'll only have, this person who nurses from a kosher woman will only have the exact amount, the minimum amount of passion for a woman taiva for women that is necessary in order to be mekayim the mitzvah of pruvu and having children. Only that amount that is necessary to have children will be inside of him, but he won't be running around looking for women all the time. And this is what the Rabbi said in the Gemara Avodah Zarah, that David HaMelech was not fitting to do this Maisa, at least the way it seems to people. It seems in the simple reading of the Tanakh that David HaMelech saw a girl and he thought she was pretty and he wanted to take her. This isn't something that that was fitting for David HaMelech. Something that David HaMelech wasn't driven by his passion to go running after and falling into sin with another man's wife. Well, the Gemara says clearly that it wasn't a sin, it wasn't an affair, and it's not to be understood so simply. There's a lot of very deep things that went on there, and he didn't do anything wrong. Anything wrong in the sense of a real Avinu. But certainly he was not fitting, it was not appropriate, it was not possible for him to ever fall into taivas nashim, to taiva for women. It doesn't make sense. Because he said about himself, and this is something that is 100% true, V'libi chol b'kirbi, my heart is empty inside of me. Ki libi chol b'kirbi, and this is a remnants to this drasha that the Rebbe said now, Libi chol b'kirbi, my heart is empty inside of me, is Rosh Tevas Cholav. Has the first letters, is made up an acronym of Cholav, milk. Meaning, Hainu shayideh cholav kshira, libo chol b'kirbo, that through kosher milk, through milk of a kosher woman, his heart was pure and empty inside of himself. He did not have a passion, wasn't filled with a passion for women. Ve'ein misgaber b'taiva zu, and this taiva did not overpower him at all, had no rule over him. Since David was in this bechina, had this bechina of nursing from a kosher woman and totally controlled his taiva for women, did not have this. It was never fitting to do a sin the way it would seem that he could have done a sin with Bathsheba. So again, this doesn't necessarily mean that the only way that he was misgaber over his taiva, or the way he didn't have a taiva, was because his mother was a kosher woman. Obviously, the Rebbe seems to be saying this was a very big factor in it. But I'm sure that he also could also be that he was very much misgaber over he overpowered whatever desire he did have, and he was able to use it in the right way. And he was able to overpower the taiva if he did have any. Again, it could be the Rebbe saying here that he just didn't have any because his mother nursed him properly. His mother was a good kosher woman, and since he nursed from his mother, so he was totally pure from this, from childbirth, pretty much, or from the time he was being raised. Lehefech, now the Rebbe says something very scary. The opposite is also true. That the milk of a woman who's a chatzufa, as we said also, we did say before, that it creates a tremendous amount of passion and heat inside of a person's heart who is not a person who nurses from a woman who is not kosher, a woman who is a chatzufa, who has brazenness, who has chutzpah, doesn't have the proper respect. It's also Rosh Tevas of Cholav, as it also says in Torah in a different place, that my heart is hot in its midst, inside of me. Rosh Tevas Cholav, also Rosh Tevas of Cholav, because they both come from Cholav. And this is what the Rabbi says. So both of the desire or non-desire for women both come from the milk. So therefore, Cham Libi B'Kirbi, which means my heart is hot inside of me, is Rosh Tevas Cholav, and also Chalal Libi B'Kirbi, my heart is empty inside of me, is also Rosh Tevas Cholav, because they both are dependent on the milk that a person nurses from his mother. Now, this is what the Rabbi said at the end of the Gemara Brachos that we just quoted above about the three mishmars, the three watches of the night. Kol mishmar u'mishmar yoshev HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'shoyeg kari. On every single one of these three watches, Hashem sits and it roars like a lion. Haynu, al hefset here. What is Hashem roaring about? What is Hashem screaming about? He's screaming about the loss of the yira that is in the world, that the people don't have proper fear of Hashem. Bechinas arisha milo yira, as in a bechina of the lions roar and people won't be afraid. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Meaning, when a lion roars, people will be afraid. That's what the pasuk is saying. It's pasuk I think you're saying in a lashon bitmia, in like a question type of form. That when a lion roars, certain people won't be afraid. Or who won't be afraid? Everyone will be afraid. So the Parpas Chachma brings here that that Hashem is trying to fix the yira. By screaming, He's trying to inject fear into us. A good type of fear of Hashem. But in each one of these three mishmaros, He's giving us like the power to overcome, and the yira that we can now have through Hashem's roar. Hashem's roar can bring fear into us. These three midos, which are the three mishmaros, these three midos are these three mishmaros are the bechina of the three midos, and the three midos are the bechina of three mishmaros, and the three midos are the ones that are destroying Yerushalayim. So therefore, Hashem is which is Hashem Seir, which is dependent on the heart. So therefore Hashem is roaring like a lion in order to awaken the fear inside of our hearts. The fear inside of our hearts to Hashem. As Hashem, we should all have tremendous fear inside of our hearts for Hashem. We should get rid of these three midas, these three bad midas from our hearts.